I wanted to move to Silicon Valley at one point. You don't have to be in Silicon Valley to do a startup anymore. Maybe about 20 years ago, you had to be in Silicon Valley, but now everybody's remote. You can build software anywhere. All you need is a laptop. But so I kind of got specialized starting about 2 years ago. I wanted to do my own startup, and I've been working on my own startup. And one of the things that when I watch your videos with startups on the blocks, you were talking to Quinn, and you're like, you got to bring it in a little bit. And I was talking to Patrick Rooney a couple hours ago, and Patrick knows me well, and I'm all over the place. So I literally picking ideas, and I started inventing a social media platform for students that changed for a social media platform that unites people from around the world. I realized that I don't know how to make money off it, so kind of put it on pause. And I was also, spending a lot of time and money on it. But once we got good at React Native, we were like, we can just develop other people's ideas and make money and work on our stuff on the side. So engineering technology, that's what I did, is quote engineering from dummies for dummies if you're at UWF, but it's still an engineering degree to say the least. I was originally computer engineering. I was running out of GI Bill and I swapped to engineering technology, but I got a lot of the computer classes out of the way. And since I graduated, I've been working on computer science certifications. I did one at Harvard, and then I also got some other computer science certifications. I'm working on the free code camp and all that kind of stuff. It's good, but the real experience I get is from working on apps with my team. And the biggest thing that I found, and I've read this in business books and just from understanding, if you want to do something big and you really want to, if you want to actually scale and grow stuff, you need a team. So I have a team right now, and two guys right now, they're actually business partners in Pakistan. So Sultan and Sean. So Sultan became the chief operating officer. I've been building apps since I came to UWF. I actually got plugged into, there's the software developers, they have all of these communities. And so I wanted to build my own smartphone app for the construction business when I was in the construction business. So I just downloaded, first it was Xcode, which is building iPhone apps. And I'm just like watching YouTube videos and banging my head on the computer, trying to figure out how to code. I joined this Facebook group and became friends with another guy who built iPhone apps. And then he had another guy who was in Uganda, and he was helping us build iPhone apps. And he helped me build and launch my first app that really, it wasn't sophisticated. It was an electronic signature app for contractors. And it was a subscription based. I made like $1,000 on it. And I kind of quit developing on it because I got distracted and came back to school and all that. But it was a good experience. But I'll use talent at UWF for my app that was in the newspaper. There's this really, really smart kid. Chris, he's not a kid. He's 20, 21 now, but Christian Marcelino, computer engineering major. He helped us release our app that we did for the Pensacola Beach Chamber of Commerce, the one that was in the newspaper. But I just took on another intern, Antonio. He knows software, even though he's a mechanical engineering major. He's I call a software engineer intern. He's not ready to code because the React developer, Sultan and Sean and myself, we kind of move along with projects. So he can still meet with clients, figure out scope of work and all that kind of stuff. So let's go to the next one. Why do an app? And I saw, I think it was just good luck that I saw some of these videos before I came here. An app is not a good idea for everybody. So if, I'm in some networking groups and some people, they build websites. Websites are great if you got like, a couple of restaurants or whatever. If you're the real reason for an app, there's tons of reasons for an app, but what can you do with computer science is really the question. So I can't speak on software that is under development for clients per NDA. I can speak on abstract things, such as, say you have a business and you are currently have a subscription-based software that you're using to run your business, and that subscription base is a lot of money, and it's more economical for us to build you a business solution, which we can build MVPs that do that. In the long run will save you money. Also, in that case, this is for a business, for example. If you understand, if you're working in a business, and I love your speech earlier, Lloyd, about understanding the industry and understanding the scope of work. So I was definitely an ideal person. I still am before I became an engineer. And one of the things is, I love how Jeff Bezos said this: ideas are cheap. It's 99% implementation, 1% idea. Building software is a lot of hard work. Granted, there are some good ideas out there, but a lot of times, just like you said, Lloyd, you have to like really understand the problem in the industry and start building a solution for it. So if a client has been in the industry for 10 years, they're going to know what the perfect software is. And I've been in vending machines, I've been in construction, I've been in landscaping. And every time I was working on those businesses, I was like, okay, I could have an app that manages, my clients. I could have an app that, manages. I'm doing a vending machine app right now for one of my own things. But then you got the more things where it's not for a business that you're in. You had an idea like the Uber people. I mean, or Snapchat or something that's just cool and unique, and users would use it. That's a great idea for an app. So, a website, if you have a DJ service and if you just want to like have a portfolio of what you do, and a website is good for that. And we don't really do websites too much. We do apps because we're React Native specialists. Say you're a DJ though, and you have an idea for the music industry. That's a good idea for an app. So I put this right here, thinking of building a tech company, not an app. And when you get plugged into the startup ecosystem, you start to think like that. I always direct people to write a business plan and go to the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, to meet with a consultant and map out how to turn this into a business. An app is more, when you build an app, it's got a lot of, it's developer heavy, but also you need marketing people. And you're going to wear a lot of hats when you're doing the startup. You're going to do marketing. You're going to do accounting for it, which, it's not making any money. It's an expense at first, but it's released, and then you make money, and you got to figure out how to do all that. But if it grows, you're going to need a CFO at some point. Think of it as a tech company. Uber did not look at it. They see themselves as a technology company, and not an app. Which an app, that's the product, and that's the services is a software service that you're providing to people. The reason why you use apps now is because everybody is on their phones, and so to give a little background of what React Native is and how it was created was the same reason that people are on their phones. When Facebook was first invented in 2002. It's a website. Everybody used Facebook on their laptops. And then 10 years later, iPhone was released, Android started becoming popular, and everybody's on their phone, and apps are the things. So Facebook is hiring 2 developers, an iPhone and an Android developer, and they realize they need to have one software environment to code for both apps. So React, you can write the code base, and it sends it to the iPhone and it sends it to the Android. And they did that because everybody's on their phone. I don't ever get on my computer to use Facebook. Sometimes I do, if I'm needing to market or whatever, but I'm mostly just on my phone now. So that's, people are still on their phones all the time. Apps are what take up people's time and whatnot. So that's an app I did after I graduated college with my undergrad degree. I always wanted to start, kind of getting more active and building my portfolio and building apps. So I went to Jessica Simpson at the Pensacola Beach Chamber of Commerce. I told her, because I had joined the chamber, and I said, I'm done with the hard stuff now. I need an app to build. And so she was like, we got the pub crawl coming up, and we can do a virtual pub crawl. So we did the first virtual pub crawl for the Pensacola Beach after 37 years of the St. Paddy's Day pub crawl. So we did that. They put it in the newspaper. It was good publicity for us. It showcased that, we can build stuff from now on. So this is just something I've been working on. After I have been developing relationships with people in other countries, I realized that It's just, we code together, but I'm also learning about other cultures, and I wanted to do an app where people can learn about other cultures. I don't know how it's going to make money, so I put it on the back burner, and I'm building another thing right now. Besides, most of the time I'm busy with clients, but it's cool. Still an idea guy at heart, so I still got ideas I'm working on. Let's go to slide number 4. And okay, so app ideas. Here's some bullet points I have to go over with an app idea. And this is the number one thing that people want to know about and need to know about. Even though I said ideas, are cheap, ideas are actually very valuable, and they're intellectual property. So I don't mean to bash that right there. And we sign NDAs with our clients, and we also suggest that if you have an app idea and you're serious about it, you should get NDA. You should do an NDA first. And how I do it when I meet with somebody is the first call, if I'm messaging somebody or somebody calls me out of the blue, and I set up, what I do is call number 1. As I say, on this call, you're not going to tell me anything about your idea. I'm going to explain to you the process of getting an app. How, the timeline, what it costs, things you should be doing, like meeting with the SBDC. I'll refer them to Nevin Schaefer, who's a patent attorney, if they want to learn more about protecting their idea. Nevin also has a book called Protect Your Great Idea for Free. It's a great book. He's over in Gulf Breeze. Look him up, Nevin Schaefer. And you can read his book, and a lot of the stuff you can do on your own. So copyright, so you got copyright and you got patent. So it's really easy to copyright code. Patent, you can still patent code or patent an idea. It needs to be very specific though, and it doesn't work for abstract things. And I was watching a great YouTube video on this. So say you had an idea for buy high and sell low. That's not patentable because it's abstract. Say that you came up with a solution for a piece of equipment that requires software and it does a specific thing, or your idea, you can still copyright mobile apps. It just needs to be very, very specific. And you should do research on it. And I talked to a lawyer about this last week. If you're going to patent an idea, if you want to patent a software idea, they suggested that you go through the process. If you're going to be the founder of an idea, you go through that USPTO process yourself. You go to the USPTO website. You can get a provisional patent. And Nevin always says this. You can always start the patent process, and it will say patent pending by your idea. And that can wean off competitors because they see that you're already working on it. But it does show a level of commitment to your idea to go out and get a patent for it. Trademark, just trademark your brand just like you would with a regular business. So, there's patent lawyers out there. Nevin Schaefer is local. He's involved with the college. He came and spoke at the Entrepreneurship Club. He speaks to the engineering students at their last semester about protecting their ideas and all that. Okay, so I know that Lloyd speaks about this, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with the MVP. Minimum viable product, the most basic feature that you can get users on, and specifically if you're speaking of growing an app idea. And one of the reasons why I put my Unify social media platform on pause is because I don't know how I'm going to monetize it yet. But really, if you can get something out there that starts generating revenue, and when I was talking to Patrick Rooney about this, you start having all these ideas, and you bring it into this thing right here. This minimal viable product right here can start generating revenue. When I start generating revenue, I can do the other things. And so one of the things that when I consult with customers is some customers just want to build something, and they're just going to make it. They're going to be billionaires because of the idea, and it doesn't work like that. And if the idea takes off, you're going to probably need more developers, a bigger team, rather than just walking away from it, because software updates, stuff that's out of our control, Apple and Android updates, that requires developers to go in and make sure it stays up and running. Adding other features, obviously, you have to pay for other features once the app is built, but also just maintaining it and making sure it stays up and running. Uber, for example, has 2,000 software developers, and they aren't cheap. Uber pays their software developers pretty well, but the good thing is they're making a lot of money, and that's how it should be in everybody's case. Is you get a minimum viable product out, you can justify, paying for maintenance and more features, and then it grows and your revenue, and it becomes, a tech company. So, revenue from MVP to add further features, use that revenue for marketing, use that revenue for maintenance and all that. So this is currently my pricing, but I don't, everybody's different. It's all about whoever you're using to build your app, their strategy, their people, how new they are. If they've been doing it for a long time, they're going to want more money, skill level, so for a low end app, $3,000, $6,000 up to $6,000. It depends on the number of screens and what you have integrated into your app. Does it have a maps feature? What kind of data does it take? What type of how complex the app is? Obviously, it's going to be more. How many screens it is, and I finally got my price list of what to charge for development fees. And I've been, cutting people deals. I'm just, building my portfolio right now. So certain people I work with, just because I want people to be involved in the startup culture. And I truly would love doing this more than working a 9 to 5. So I love, helping people out with their app ideas. So it's based off of features and complexity. So cost of building an app. You got the hosting, you have the back end, you have the initial development cost. So hosting, for example, we're doing $200 a year right now to make sure your app stays up and running. So for example, when we host your app, and there's 2 ways we can host an app. You can host it under our Apple and Android, or our Apple and Google development console, or you can get your own. So in the case, say you have an app where you're making money off of subscriptions from people, sometimes it's best to get your own accounts. And we have to get that all set up for you and everything. Apple is $99 a year for an individual account, $299 for a commercial account or a business account. And Google is a one-time fee of $25. So Google's a little bit nicer on price on that. But the $200 a year that you pay to us, we just go in to make sure that all the check boxes are clicked to make sure your app stays up and running once your code is put into the app store. I put this right here because so many people are like, just build me an MVP and let me get rich. And that's just not how it works. You need to have a good relationship with your developer. And I gave the Uber example. So consider a partnership with your example. Sometimes if somebody's got a good app idea, then, if you become our partner, it's just, and I give the example, it's like having a contractor and a business partner. Somebody calls me in the middle of the night and it's a client and I'm like working all the time. It's going to be harder for me to answer that phone. And then if that person's a developer and I'm in on the game with them. We do installments of 4 to build the app, down payment to get started. 25% to get started, 25% once your UI is built. We show your user interface. It's how you want it. Then it's 25% whenever the backend's built. We can start doing internal testing. And then it's 4% or 25% once it's fully finished and working properly. And we do we maintain, we make sure that the code, we will debug anything on our error for up to a year. That's different than hosting, but we just make sure it stays running for a year after we get the app built. So, and don't forget, if you're going to build an app, it's always good. You can contact the SBDC once you have an idea. You can start working on your business plan. So we had a great, explanation of understanding the business and the model and all that when you get started. So it goes from app idea to development to testing to release. So once you have it pinned down what you're going to do, your app idea, we start the development process, and this is the process that can take months to do to develop it, and then we test it. And then there's internal testing and external testing. So when we're done, we can get a small group of users on their phone, you, the founder of the idea, us developers, we can test it, make sure it's running right. And then once it's debugged internally, we can release it for external testing and really get all the bugs out. And then once everything's done with testing is when you go and start marketing your app. So wireframes, this is important right here. This is blueprints for your app. So it's just like a builder shows up to build a house. If an architect didn't have drawings for the house, he's not going to know what to do. So software developers live off of these right here. They're going to go off of, and this is one of my app ideas. I'm not sharing any of the wireframes or intellectual property of my customers, but this is my idea for the vending machine industry. And still working on it, but I made this last week. Profile, a lot of apps require profiles. And so with wireframes, so when I meet with somebody, I have the first meeting and I just explain to them everything, the processes of getting an app. And then second meeting, after the first meeting, I'll sign an NDA. Second meeting, I will tell them it's best if you list every single thing that you can think about that you want the app to do, even if it's outside of the scope of the MVP. And one of the things I do, like with the app I'm building here, is I got a million ideas for the app, but I'm not going to develop them all at once because it's not feasible. We would never get done. I kind of bring that MVP in and make wireframes for that. So with our clients, we have $100 to do wireframes. So after meeting 2, if you want us to do your wireframes, we will charge $100. 3 revisions, we'll revise it 3 times. And if it's what you want, we'll move forward. We'll get you a price and move forward. We need these to get a price for somebody. And we need these to understand the flow of the app and what to build and how it's going to work. So we need both wireframes and a description in like just a word editor, like Microsoft Word, just saying, I want this app to have a button that does this and users to interact with each other like this. And I want it to solve this industry problem. Color scheme is good. These are bare bones. In the next slide, I'm going to show you what it goes from. I built 3 screens on my vending machine app in the past week, but these wireframes right here are bare bones. It's going to be prettier once we start to develop. So it goes from, this was just the outline of the functionality, and this is a lot prettier here. So you have login, and I'll put my logo up here, and it looks a lot nicer. So the UI UX is going to get better when you develop it. So okay. I explained partnership versus contract. And this is how a lot of people work. There's a guy who I've been watching on YouTube, and he kind of works the same way. If you have an app idea and you're really hitting it off with your developer and you want to make your developer chief technology officer or get some skin in the game that can reduce your coding cost. Charge by the number of screens. And I explain all this. I put 6 months. We really do a year after the app is built for support. And the hosting fee is $200. But long-term vision for your app. And it's great when you have ideas. It's great to have a lot of ideas, to have a strategy for those ideas, and to know how to implement them later on as you go. And just think of it, as moving into your idea more and more and more as you go. But it's, some people have different strategies. Some people want to make an app and sell it. Some people want to hold it long term. But just think about that problem you're trying to solve is the best thing I can say with that. And you will need I hit on those points earlier. So we use JavaScript. I'm not going to go, super technical here, but it depends, and I say 2 to 3 months. It depends on the number of screens. If you got a 5-screen, 6-screen app, we could probably do 2 to 3 to 4 months. If it's more, if you want more than MVP, it could be half a year. I'll suggest that You don't have to get technical as a founder. You do need to have a good relationship with the developer though, and understand the processes and how long things can take. Um, Sometimes we'll try to integrate an API and it could take us, we hit errors and it takes us a week to do. And there's just new protocols. Android has this new protocol where you have to have 20 testers, internal testers, using the app before they allow the app to get published. They're getting more strict on their publishing. I would expect at minimum, this is one of the biggest things that when working with people. So tech, I know people are busy. You might have a 9 to 5, you might have your own business. But expect to do at least a weekly call on Zoom or a phone call, preferably on Zoom. And things can be bottlenecked. So if developers need to understand something more, and you send them a text message, or a developer sends you a text message and it takes you 5 days to respond, that's 5 days that's